Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Happy Friday. Happy Blackout Friday. We are still doing it around here. Welcome to Fly Nubian Money. And this is the day that we are going to talk about something that is actually pretty interesting and actually becoming pretty common. And it's about marriage. Okay. So married couples right now who stay together for financial reasons, despite lacking emotional attachment, are known as silent divorce. This situation is common when partners maintain a marriage for stability, financial support, or societal expectations, even though emotional and romantic connections have long disappeared. Today, we'll discuss why so many couples remain in these relationships, the financial and emotional toll it takes, and how Black communities often experience this due to economic and cultural pressures. Now, I have a beautiful royal court today. We have people from both sides. We have two that have been married. We have two that have not been married. So we're going to have a nice balanced conversation. But today we actually have Tiara Williams, Miss Black Hollywood, an entrepreneur. We have Joe Corley. Yay, Joe, I love it when Joe's with me. Licensed therapist, mental wellness coach, and educator. And Yolanda Spivey, insurance brokers to the stars. Hello, panel. Are we still doing blackout? Are we still doing blackout? I need a yes. I don't want to know. I don't want a maybe. We are doing the blackout. What does that mean? Before we get into the topic, we do not spend money where people don't care about our communities or just want our money and don't want to worry anything about us. Those are the places that are suffering right now, and we are actually making an impact with that. So today, Blackout Friday. All right. I have to ask everyone first because this topic actually made me very sad. Now, I myself have been married for 32 years. Been with my husband longer than that, right? So I couldn't imagine living in a married life without a connection or just to save face or just to save money. So for me, I think that this is sad, and I would not be able to live in a loveless marriage, but I'm going to ask each one of the panel how they feel about that before we dig in. So, Joe, I'm going to start with you because you are my married cohort.
That's right. Yeah, I couldn't imagine living in a loveless marriage. So I'm going to say, no, I couldn't do that at all.
Yeah, it's not my thing. How about you, Tiara?
I think this is one of the biggest fears of getting married, right? To get in a situation where at some point you be looking over like, ugh, like I don't even like that you breathe, right? Like I don't even like the way you breathe, the way you chew, the way you like. I don't like it. So I think that that is a skit. That's just or vice versa. I mean, he could do the same thing for me. Like I thought I liked you, but I don't like you, and then I'm kind of stuck in a situation that I don't want to be in.
But I think that's a misconception, and we'll dig into that because even when you're married, you go through those phases too. Joe, am I wrong?
Yeah, for sure. You go through those phases. It's definitely pits where you like, man, that door is looking nice. Okay, that door is looking nice. Can we pierce
Yeah.
thing? But there's always like when you come down to earth, you're like, nah,
Right, right. How about you, Yolanda? Could you live in a loveless marriage?
Of course, as long as we can make some arrangements. You know
She
what
said
I'm
you
saying?
got to come with some papers.
Yeah, yes. But you know what? If you're in a loveless marriage and you both make an arrangement that you can see other people, for instance, or that, and I know that sounds morally wrong, but come on, we're humans.
It is, and that's a part of living the human experience. So, I want to
Exactly.
dive in now. So, we're going to watch this video and then we're going to have some pretty good conversations. But before we start that video, I need to hear what our family who comes in, our viewership family, could you live in a loveless marriage or stay in a marriage only for financial reasons? We would love to hear what you say. Check this out.
So I just learned about quietly quitting your marriage. That is a new term to me, but I do understand it because what I know about divorce is that it's not just something that happens overnight. There's a buildup of years and years and years. And women get to a point where they cannot take it anymore. And so, like this commenter said on another video that I just watched about quietly quitting your marriage, she says, I quiet quit my marriage for over 4 years before I filed for divorce. During that time, I upskilled my career and got in shape, nurtured my skin, etc. And when you're wondering, like, how do you prepare to leave? This is beautiful. I love it because I think both parties know, but the reality of accepting that this is the realness, that's where there's some disconnect there. And so women are tired, and I say it all the time, and they're fed up, and they're not just leaving just because. There are some unhealthy dynamics that are happening, and they are waking up. And there is something significant that is happening once women turn 40 and up, that they're like, enough is enough. And so this whole idea of quiet quitting your marriage, it's basically saying women are fed up and she's going to get her shit together while she's in the marriage so that when she's ready to file divorce, especially if there's no changes that have happened, then she's prepared. And a lot of times what I notice when it comes to women and the desire to get a divorce or just having the thought, I don't want to be married anymore, the reason why they cannot move forward, many times the reason is finances. They're stay-at-home moms, or the money is tied in with their partner, their spouse, and they don't have the resources to leave on their own. So
So much to unpack in that. And first, I want to acknowledge some of our viewership family who had their comments. Booker says, no way. The mental drain is too expensive. He wouldn't stay in a marriage that way. Staying in the Light Society says, definitely no. Why waste precious time? Booker also says, I make it clear if you don't want me, just let me know and I'm out. And he said, men are fed up too. Now, there was a lot to unpack in this video. And to me, I was like, I've always been taught, even when I was a little girl, whether you're married or not, you really should always make sure that you have something. Mama called it bra money. That's where I'm from. I'm from the country, y'all. Mama called it bra money. Always have your bra money with you. You never know whether your husband leaves you or something happens to your husband or your spouse. You need to have something of your own. But to me, purposely building something on the side to leave, that's a little bit sneaky. And I felt a little sad about this video, but I'd love to hear all of your thoughts on how this made you feel and your opinions about it. Joe, how do you feel about that video?
It makes me, realize think about women who feel that way. I get to thinking about the historical context of it. Honestly, where does that come from? That people stay inside of situations that don't fulfill them emotionally out of fear and safety. I mean, that's really the only reason you sit in a position like that. And I know that folks get tired of going all the way back to slavery days because, like, every single thing that goes on with us is like because we were slaves. But you know, you build and build and build on a shaky foundation, and eventually the foundation is going to come back to haunt you. So we talking about all the things that occurred to us historically, families being ripped apart at the whim of the slave owners and all of that. What does that do to a woman? It creates hyper independence, right? Or or lack of security and safety. What does it do to a man? He feels like he always has to either be strong and emotionally stoic at the same time. So you got to be strong, you got to be submissive all at the same time. and you just don't know how to express your emotions. Therefore, you can't connect. You know what I mean? So this is that's passed down generationally, and then some men and women don't know how to talk to each other because the woman is going to be hyper independent. She's not going to say what she needs. The man's going to be also hyper independent and emotionally stoic. He's not going to say what he needs, and they're both staying out of situation because of staying in the situation because they're both terrified of going out there and being unstable. You know what I mean? So it's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. So
There is a lot to it.
all of that.
Hmm. I think you really hit on some really important parts because of our history, especially in the United States, where we've been torn apart. We've been everything from the very beginning. We still have generational trauma around these type of things. How about you, Tara? How did you feel about that video?
I was thinking about the idea of women when they start to check out, like out of a relationship. She said she started to just put herself together. I know he don't want me no more. I feel the same way. Let me just go ahead and get my bag together. Let me start working out. She was already gone for sure. But I know this to be true. Most women will stay and try and they'll sacrifice themselves. They'll give until literally they cannot do it anymore. Now, I mean, Joe would have to tell me what men do on the on the opposite side of this spectrum, but I know we will. When you get to that place, it's like a lot has transpired, and you like, nah, this is it. Because I women just naturally we want to make things work. We want to. So, I really didn't feel bad. I know you were saying that it had to get to this point, Lala, but sometimes we make mistakes and we get into situations we shouldn't be in. After losing some family members this year, I say this again and again, like, ain't this is your life, your whole life that you get to live once, depending on what you believe. And so you can't give that to just anybody. You got to roll. You got to roll.
Well,
Period.
I'm definitely with you on that. My whole life has shifted since losing, people and it's like overnight you do wake up. You're like, I'm not wasting my precious time on things that really don't matter, that don't help me grow or live in my life purpose. That's why I kind of feel a little sad about it though, because I don't know, moving in silence like that. I don't know. It just depends on the situation. How about you, Yolanda? How are you feeling about that video?
Yeah. Okay. First, I would like to say Tiara. Can't call you T on it.
Yes, you can. That's
Okay.
fine.
Thank you, T. But you made a very important point. This is my life. This is your whole entire life. Am I going to live my life like this forever? I mean, we have choices today. And the reason why that stuck out to me is because when I was in my 16-year relationship, when it had ended, I was in my mid 30s. And before it ended, I was saying the same thing. This is my life. Can I see myself in my 40s, 50s, 60s, still living with this man under these conditions? In my case, something had to have ended. And I ended it because I could not fathom living my whole entire life it was pure misery. All right. And something that young lady said on the video there, she said when a woman turns 40, and I would say in her 30s, okay, when a woman just turns that 40-year mark, her mind shift starts to change. Everything changes physically, spiritually, mentally. Things change. And it's almost like a wake-up call. All right. So, and especially if you got that FU money, okay, and that FU money is, I hate to say, but I got my own money. I can move on and do what I have to do. That even makes it more sweeter for a woman to just leave out and just live her life and get her life back. Get her life back. And this is only if she's in a miserable relationship, y'all, not, something that's happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I also just add that Lala, you said something like, I don't know how I feel about her moving in silence, but I feel like in that household that she was in, the silence was super loud between the two of them. That silence was loud, and they both understood what it was. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm being sneaky. It's like, man, I'm about to do me. Like, oh, that's what we on. Oh,
And he
let me
could
go to
be
the
doing
gym.
the same thing. He could be
Yeah,
doing the same thing. And you
correct.
can't
So
put on the woman. We need to take a quick break, guys. So let me just take a quick break. Let's get some more breaths in, and we'll be right back.
It's a good show right here. But I'm biased. If you are just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I'm the proud producer of this show because it is lit. If you want to receive notifications for when we go live Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you have to do is text the word Queens to 87948. That's Queens to 87948. That's QUEENS to 87948. Also, if you want to grow your money and not blow your money, all you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, there's courses, there's free giveaways. There's just no reason to be broke in 2025. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. Obviously, you don't want to be entertained here. You want to know enough to grow. Wait, I need to put that on a shirt. You got to know to grow. Got to know to grow. So know and grow with flynubianmoney.com.
And that's what we do around here. Listen, we have all sorts of resources for you. We tell you every time these commercials are not running just for our own pleasure. They are here to uplift you and let you know that there are ways that you can protect and build your financial household. Listen, I know we're all coming from different points, and I can see all points. But Joe, I want to ask you this. How often do you think financial stability is the main reason for staying in a marriage, even when love is no longer there? Do you happen to see that a lot in your practice?
Yeah, in my experience, I would say the very, very high percentage. I don't know number, but in my experience, it's probably 80 to 90% of the reason why people stay in situations for a long period of time, especially if kids are involved.
Wow. Wow. Okay, that actually blew my mind because I wasn't expecting that high of a number. I want to pull some stats that we have about this because we're not just talking out the side of our neck. There are things that are actually happening right now. So I want to pull up some things to support the things that we are talking about today. According to a study by the American Psychological Association, 80% of couples who stay together for financial stability cite financial stress as the leading cause of their emotional dissatisfaction. I'm gonna pull back on that. I'm gonna leave the stats right there. That's pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
That is beyond high. So now I've got two high numbers. Tira, why do you think that is?
It just makes me think of my grandmother, right? Or like, our grandmas, our great grandmas who stayed in situations. Papa was a Rolling Stone, and they were like, my great grandmother had 12 children. And she literally, when my grandfather left the home and kind of rolled out, she had to fend for those children, but she was with him for like, I don't know, like 25, 26 years before he actually ended up leaving. I'm sure there was something, but she stayed in the situation and all the things that she endured. She wasn't a very vocal woman and told us about abuse or anything like that, even though it was happening. But I think, we took our cue. It's just like nothing new under the sun. It makes me feel like we all kind of have a need, right? There's this grid of things that we need, and shelter and food and all of those things are on that as a primal need. And so I think we're fearful when you don't know what's on the other side of of the situation. You can kind of get caught up like, this is my lens, this is my perspective, this is all I know. And I'll say this, and I'm gonna pass it, but every friend that I've talked to that's been on the brink of divorce has been fearful about getting a divorce. What does this mean? What does this mean for my business? What does this mean for my household? And then after like a few years, I talked to those same friends after divorce. They're like, girl, I'm so glad, because they were able to bounce back. And I think that's just the idea. Even for the men, you'll be fine. you'll be fine. But you don't know that in the situation. You just see your situation, whatever you've been in. This been my life. What does life look like without this? Like Yolanda said earlier.
Well, what's interesting about all that is this is not just financial. I mean, we're talking about people staying together for financial reasons, but what about our mental health? What, body, mind, spirit? What about our spiritual health? What about all this is tacked on with that? It just can't be for just financial reasons. You're pulling in other things that can draw down your quality of life. So, Yolanda, do you think that it's possible to rebuild a relationship once the emotional bond is gone? Or is it too late if financial needs are the only thing that's keeping that marriage together?
Okay. I don't think it's too late. And the reason why is because you can probably get yourself together spiritually, physically, even being in that loveless marriage. But what I was thinking, Lala, is that sometimes two parents being in a home, aside from the financial aspect, what about the safety aspect of the children? That's what I'm thinking of. Sometimes, like for instance, I stayed with my child's father for safety reasons, just to make sure that my son was secured. I was so scared of somebody from the outside coming in, trying to infiltrate and mess with us and things of that nature. There have been so many stories of kids being molested or hurt because they knew the father wasn't in the home. Okay. So I'm thinking that sometimes people stay together for other reasons outside of the financial, the financial aspect. So yes, you can still stay in a relationship aside from, the financials. You can still stay in a relationship if there are other things involved.
It's definitely what I
You
call the
understand what I'm
ball
saying,
of
right?
Yeah, we understand what you're
because
saying. We got what
it's
you're
a
saying.
ball of confusion. It's exactly what it is to me. It's a ball of
Right.
confusion. You have a lot of whirlwind going on in this situation that is more than just money. But you did bring
Exactly.
something up, which is very important. Let's talk about how this affects the children. We have some stats on how this affects the kids. Studies show that children in homes with silent divorced parents, where emotional connection is lacking, but financial stability is present, are more likely to face emotional distress and academic struggles. We're going to pull that back. We're going to pull that back for a few minutes.
Can you ask Joe that same question? I would love to know what you just asked Yolanda about actually being able to recover emotionally in a relationship once it's gone really far. Like, can you rekindle? Can you? I really want to hear that, because I mean, I know people come back together sometimes, but I know it's really hard, right, Joe? After a certain period, like after you've kind of checked out, it's really hard to look back and be like, I love him. It's hard, right?
Yeah, it's really, really hard. No, you hit that right on the head. There's a lot of things first that you have to sift through, and accountability and forgiveness are like the cornerstones of that situation.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's so much hurt that has been dished out that forgiveness is very far reaching, and accountability, it's hard to get there because you can't get over the hurt that you've received long enough to even take accountability for the hurt that you dished out.
Mm,
So after a certain period of time of just, you start to your nervous system starts to accept this dysfunction, and any like perceived changing of that dysfunction, like, oh, I'm trying to be better now, your nervous system receives that as a threat. It's like, oh, you're only doing this because of such and such and such and such. But you know what I mean? It's very, very, it's possible. It has happened, but
mhm,
the chances of it are significantly lower if you wait too long to start communicating.
mm,
Yeah, I do think time has a lot to do with that too, if you don't address it head on. I will say that I had someone in our neighborhood who were the older couple, of course. I mean, I lived what I called my little village. They were not a part of my family, but they, you could obviously tell they were married, but they were not married. And I asked my mom about that because it was very obvious that you could see that they didn't really have love going on anymore. And when I asked my mom that, she said, for whatever reason in life, people decide to choose to live the way that they do, and you just have to accept that. But she never said anything wrong about it. Years later, I had found out that he had cheated and had a child that was raised in our neighborhood.
Whoa.
And that was in her face every single day. But she was an at-home worker. She was a housewife. So she felt she didn't have any resources to even leave. So there are a conglomerate of things that you can see, obviously, in these types of marriages, that something has happened and something has broken down. And with that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
I know you're busy, you got things to do, and you can't take us on the go with you every single day. Good news for you. We are now on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, now you can listen to us on Spotify. Search Fly Nubian Money and all the episodes shall appear. All you have to do is like, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, leave some comments, tell people how you love us so that when other people come along and are looking for a great show to watch, they can find Fly Nubian Money too. One last thing, and just in case you've been sitting under a rock, Fly Nubian Money now has an investment club. We are the Fly Nubian Money Club. It's easy. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com, and I am committed to bringing in top experts from all industries to help you level up. They're teaching us the skills that we need to compete in this market. We often say that nobody is coming to save us, not the government, but guess what? We're coming to save us. I'm coming to save you with the Fly Nubian Money Club. So listen, all you have to do again is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com. We have a 30-day free trial set up just for you, just for those people that are struggling. Even if you ain't struggling, you ain't got to struggle. I'm coming. Okay, let me stop playing. I'll see you soon.
You ain't got to struggle. And that's what we keep telling you about. We are helping you build your financial household. And everybody needs to be doing that now. Things are changing. Things are changing fast. You need to make sure that you protect your money and make sure, put that bra money, like my mama said, put that bra money up somewhere, y'all, because you need to take care of yourself and your family. All right, listen, we got another take on this. So I want us to roll this video and then we'll have more conversation. Check this out.
Besides sex, money is one of the most contentious issues in relationships. According to CNBC, 23% of couples are staying together because of financial reasons, especially because of this high inflationary market. But to me, I actually think this number is higher. You see, a lot of people are staying in relationships because they know if they would try to do this on their own, for example, get their own apartment, get their own car, get their own things, it'd be a lot more expensive for them. Statistics show that couples have better financial means than people who are single. So what happens is that even if you're miserable in a relationship, people will stay in the relationship because it's good for their finances. Now, the question becomes whether or not this is sustainable. The answer is no. It usually ends in a pretty bitter divorce or a pretty bitter battle at the end. It's completely not sustainable, but I do understand the logic behind people staying together. My advice is to please seek financial counseling where you can to avoid this situation.
That is great advice. I also would hope that he would have added maybe marital counseling. Maybe I'm too old school, but it's more than just financial help for that. So Joe, I'm leaning on you, Joe. I am leaning on you. How much does the fear of financial instability hold people back from ending relationships that have actually run their course emotionally, and how can they recover from that with therapy? Both sides. I'm looking at both sides. I want to hear how we can look at this as body, mind, spirit, financial. I threw something in there, didn't I?
Yeah, you talking about couples that have run their course. I'm counseling a couple who hasn't even gotten off the ground yet, and the financial instability is already starting to affect them before they even the finances that are going into even their ceremony are causing them stress and frustration. So we had to talk about finances in the beginning. You know what I mean? So getting these days, what young people are thinking about, or not even young people, like young couples, I should say, couple people that are recently getting together, are already afraid of financial instability. So you're coming into that marriage already with that mindset. So little things, not being able to have those conversations are causing stress. They don't want to talk about it a lot for whatever reason, embarrassment, or you just don't have the emotional tools to communicate the way that you need to. So part of even what I do is I put it out here. Like, let's talk about it in real time. Let's talk about what you guys' financial goals are. And they look, him and Han, because they haven't even had that conversation. Well, you better have that conversation. You better have it and start talking about what it is that you want to do, what it is that you want to do, how you want this to look, how you want your money monthly. Do you want some money for in your own account every month, or do you just want to keep dumping both of your checks into this? Let's talk about it. Let's get a budget out. Let's look at it right now. You know what I mean? I give the homework. Here, put together a spreadsheet, and let's come back and talk about it. I do assessments on the compatibility financially and a whole bunch of other things, but financially is one of those key parts of this assessment. So there's just a lot of conversations that people are not having in the beginning of their relationships that eventually, hit a wall when, as you say, relationships that run their course. So, but you can still, even then, at that point, still get that train back on the track and just eliminate that. Like, if we're having stress, let's eliminate this financial problem that you're having. Let's eliminate this conversation so that we can talk about date nights and loving each other and all these other things. Because that's just, one of the main things that we're arguing about. If we can eliminate it, then we can start talking about emotions and whatever we need outside of that. So it's a big part of it.
Wow. I mean, this just shows there, people always like to see things as a one-sided thing, but there's always deeply rooted things behind everything that goes on. And and you always want to just say, well, just do this. Well, just do this. Well, that's not, that's easier said than done, especially if you're not in it. You could just tell somebody, girl, leave him. Well, you don't know what exactly that looks like for that person. So
They too,
you got
like,
to be careful.
say real quick, that we are a people rooted in survival.
Yes,
You
very
know,
much so.
and
Very
deep
much
root
so.
stuff. We rooted in. We're going to try to survive above anything. We're going to put our survival above everything because that's just the way we're designed.
I have to agree on that. That's why we are seen as a threat, especially now, as we can see. They're afraid that we're going to run over everything. But we do have some more stats on people and feeling financially trapped. So let's check out this stat. In Black communities, 54% of couples report feeling financially trapped in their marriage due to shared financial obligations and the lack of affordable housing. Baby, we're going to pull back on that because that is my wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I cannot tell you how many couples, after they've purchased these expensive homes, especially in California, it's hard to get a house, period, in California. And now when the market shifts and now all of a sudden they don't get the same type of equity out of the house if they're divorcing, that they feel forced to stay there. So I've actually had couples, and still do have couples, that are emotionally divorced. One lives on one level, another lives on another level. And if they have children, they have a main level that they come into. So they have common areas. So I can speak to the fact that I see a lot of that. I have a lot of clients who have contacted me just to see, what is my house worth if we divorce? What does this look like? And instead of going through the messy process, they decide to just live with it. And it breaks my heart every single time. So it still flows into this question for me. Okay, T, this is Tiara.
You can call me T. Listen, that's my name too. Go ahead. Yes,
So,
ma'am.
when does staying for financial reasons cross the line into compromising your personal happiness and your mental health? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, none of these couples that I have served that are living in this situation are fully happy.
Yeah. Man, as a non-married person, I'm gonna just speak from what I've observed. It feels like if it's something that makes you let's say you can kill yourself from staying in this situation. I'm talking about from like heart attack, from feeling like your blood pressure is high, this person is stressing you out, then 9 times out of 10, you probably need to leave the situation, right? If you feel like mentally unstable because you're in a house that makes you feel that way, maybe this person is making you, I don't know, gaslighting you, those buzz and trigger words that people use when it comes to just mental health. So I would say if it feels like it's putting you in danger or putting you in an early grave, please, there's something better for you. There's something better out there for you. um and I would just like to say this. I was in a relationship, and there was a lot of talk about like marriage, and we were very young, like 27, 28 years old, talking about like, oh, maybe this could be a marriage thing. But I realized, I mean, I loved him, but I felt like I just saw a mindset, right? Like sometimes, not, I think women be so caught up and so in love that they don't like see like through they see through like certain rose colored glasses instead of seeing what it is. I started to like observe, like, can you live your life like this? Like this gonna be struggle love. This is gonna be this. This is gonna be that. Like just the mentality that I saw. I think people get into situations. Same goes for men, marrying women that maybe I had a friend who was like, yeah, man, like I married my girlfriend, made her my wife, and afterwards she didn't want to work. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So I worked 4 jobs to keep up with wanting to take care of the two of us in California. And she ended up cheating on me because she said you work too much. Right. So it's like just knowing the person that you should be with and like making sure that you guys are equally yoked.
Man, we talk about equally yoked a lot, and I'm telling you, that was taught to me early. Thank the Lord it was, because I took that seriously, and I was blessed enough to have a partner who also felt that way. And I think that is a part of us being a successful married couple for over 32 years, is because we think the same. And even when we hit bumps, we have learned to go take deep breaths. All right. You go take your 2-hour walk. I'll go over here and play this guitar, and let's sit down and talk about it once we have gotten the initial hurt or whatever out to talk about it. You have to be able to be willing to communicate with your partner in these situations if you even want it to work. Sophia Chambers says, I had a house account and we had our own personal account. Household bills was added up, and then we divided and put our share in the house account, and I pay all bills. Hell, still paying the bills. Now, Sophia, earlier you mentioned that you couldn't do it. You said your grandparents had stayed together, but you couldn't do it. I would love to hear how that affects you now. Are you happier that you have left? Because obviously living in a silent divorce is not something that would have been okay with you because you didn't choose to do so. So that brings me, we still got to come back to this. I just, it's no way to get around it. Money is not every freaking thing. Yolanda, what can be done to help couples in a silent marriage find emotional fulfillment, even if they can't immediately change their financial situation?
Okay, well, I feel that before the marriage, okay, they really should be able to take care of themselves completely and fully. So, meaning that if they're going to buy a $1 million house, they better be making $1 million money on their own. Because I know a lot of people who get together just for financial reasons. They're thinking, oh, if I move in with him, or if I move in with her, we can get together and live this type of lifestyle. But that is false. And that is not something that could, that is like really real. So before you get married, you both should be very financially set up. And if you're not financially set up, then don't marry at all. And this is because of the times that we're living in today. Okay. If this was back in the 1980s, 60s, of course, things would be different. We can probably live off of one person's salary, but this is not how society is set up. So we have to change our thought process on relationships, marriage, money, assets, things of that nature. If you can't take care of yourself completely and wholly on your own, do not get into a relationship. Set yourself up first and then get into a relationship with somebody. Make sure you save your money, then get into that relationship. Now, if you're in a relationship with somebody and things are going awry, all right, I think that you should take a step back. Somebody mentioned, I think it was Joe who mentioned budgeting, set up a budget, okay, and stop living above your means. Sometimes people think, oh, I got this extra money from his, his salary or her salary. I can spend this, that, and the third. And then you become reckless with your finances. Do not live above your means. Set up a couple budget so that you can have a strong relationship. Because money is everything. Right? Well, not everything, but money is a big factor.
Yeah, it is.
Okay?
It really is.
You got no money, you don't feel good. Okay.
That's right. And that in itself is a whole another ball of wax that we got to unpack. It's just, I think we live in a completely different world than but it's different.
We have to realize that. We have to realize that we are in today's times, not 1960s. Everybody trying to get back to the 60s. Women trying to, I just want to be a stay-at-home mom. I want a man who, makes six figures or more. A lot of men don't make a lot of money. So where are you? You know what I'm saying? Get your ass out of work.
Exactly.
Give yourself the life you want first, sis. Give yourself the life you want first.
I agree. Well, people had to go to counseling, like, and even in the church world, you had to, like, my husband and I did it. We did, premarital counseling. We did like 6 weeks worth of that before we got married. And then the minister talked about the finances and talked about all aspects of being married. And I just think that we've gotten away from that, and that we should be also getting back to that as well, because, you're just going into it with this fairy tale and you find out it's not all fairy tales and the shoe don't fit. Then it's more expensive to have to get out of that to get yourself set up. But I digress.
We're going to take a business, Lala, and this is what young people don't understand. It's a business, man. Everything is business.
It really is.
Even that certificate you sign is, what is it, like a corporation or something? You know what I'm saying? It's all tied into the government. So
that's right.
If you think of it that way, okay, and a part of running a business is making sure you have money for your business, things will go a lot smoother. You are
to think about. All right, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Are you a Black business owner looking to expand your reach? Well, has Fly Nubian Money got good news for you? We are building a Black business directory to connect you with customers who need your services. And here is the best part. It is absolutely free. Email us at info@realvirtual.net. Send us your business name. Tell us a little bit about what you do, what services you offer, your website address, and your contact information. That's it. Together, we are going to build and circulate the Black dollar. Get listed today and start connecting with people who are probably already looking for you.
I'm looking for you. I know I'm looking for you. I'm looking for all you got, because if I can spend my Black dollars at your Black business, that's what I'm going to do. It's Blackout Friday. And instead of going to Walmart, which I never hate, I never went to Walmart, but Target, I'd rather give the money to you. So if you want to be in our directory, make sure that you send all of your information. Don't send us no partial stuff. We want your name, your business, your email, your phone number, your website. Even give us a little bio, okay? How about you send in a little picture of yourself too at info@realvirtual.net. I want to get back into this because this is important talk, because this is something big in our community that I don't think people think about as much anymore. Let's check out this next video and get back into the conversation.
These are the ways that your partner may try to get you to divorce them so they don't have to. The number one way is frivolous spending. I find that when one person starts spending money in a way that doesn't make sense, you're not able to pay bills, they can't tell you what they're doing with their money, they're trying to give you a sign that they're slowly checking out of the marriage because they're not trying to plan a future or save for a future. Another thing that I see oftentimes is withholding sex. When your partner stops having intimacy with you and they refuse to give you sex, that is a telltale sign that they have checked out of the marriage and they may be trying to push you away and do their dirty work and file for divorce so they don't have to. The third thing that I see, and this is extremely common right now, is asking for an open marriage. If you notice that your spouse is doing some of these things, I would really sit down and go and speak to an experienced divorce lawyer and learn your options. If a person does not care enough to sit down and come to you and go to counseling, chances are they've already checked out. And it's not really worth your time to invest in counseling or force them into counseling if they're not strong enough or courageous enough to come to you and talk about the issues to begin with.
Tap into you, Joe. I find that very interesting. She gave some warning signs. But I also want to acknowledge that Sophia did answer the question. She said that she's not sorry that she left. And we appreciate you being so very honest with us and putting it out there. You never know, when you put that out there, you may be helping someone else. So we appreciate you, Sophia. So Joe, what are your thoughts on that? Is that something that you see in your practice with those types of things that they come at you with, like open marriage and all those things?
She said open marriage, frivolous spending, and what was the last thing again?
Withholding sex.
Withholding sex, right?
Mm-hmm.
None of those things are signs that you're in a silent marriage, in my opinion. That none of those things.
Do expound.
Yeah. Those things happen in marriages, you know what I'm saying, that, you know, can be salvaged and saved. You know, that stuff is not, when we talk about what you're looking at as far as it's time to end, it's the way that you guys talk to each other is the main sign. If you are constantly speaking to each other with criticism, okay, and contempt, are you being defensive every single time your partner tries to address you, or, you know, and if you are avoiding each other and avoiding conversations and avoiding difficult conversations, those are the signs, you know, that it's time. You know what I mean? Like, a person could be withholding sex for many different reasons, not because they're checking out. They could ask for open marriage. You know, you just heard Yolanda say that, hey, that could be one of the stipulations of a healthy marriage for her, if you have those kind of arrangements. So if somebody asks for open marriage, they're basically saying, I still want to be here, but I need some more things in order to maintain it. And frivolous spending, somebody could just be, you know, sloppy. You know what I mean? No, that's not a way out. I'm spending all my money just to get you to get out of here. And then if you see these three things, you should go see a divorce lawyer. No, man, no, no. Turn the mic off.
That's coming from a
so don't take
lawyer,
that as all fact.
Is she
Yeah,
a divorce
that's
lawyer?
coming from a
She was a
lawyer.
divorce lawyer?
She was a lawyer. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay, it's a commercial.
She was saying that that's what she sees.
Okay. Well, let me say this. If you are not speaking to your partner, or you're speaking to your partner with criticism and contempt, and you find yourself being defensive all the time, and, you know, you're stonewalling and avoiding conversations, it's time to check in with a good marriage counselor. So let me run my commercial too, then, if everybody do
it. But can I also expound? I think when you're just living a whole entire separate life, okay? Because I've seen couples who they come into the house, they don't say hello to each other, they don't greet one another, and they're living different lives. They don't check in with each other, okay? If they go out and they just do what they're doing, okay? And it just magically happens overnight, you know? And you be like, where's so-and-so? They out wet up doing their thing, doing whatever. And I feel like that right there is a sign of a silent divorce. When you don't care what the other person is doing. You just don't care.
You do your thing and I do mine. We have another video, which is very interesting. So I want to pull that up because I think we need to address this next one as well.
They say one of the primary causes of divorce is a lack of communication. But see, what's interesting is most of us, when we're having relationship problems, we'll go to everybody. Family, friends, pastor, therapist, Jesus. We'll communicate exactly how we feel. We'll go on and on about how she disrespected me and he mistreated me and I ain't gonna tolerate this and I ain't gonna take that. We communicate exactly how we feel to everyone else except for our partner. We'll get around our partner, pure silence. Passive aggressive. We're sweeping things under the rug. We're bottling up emotions. Resentment is building. Take all that energy and all of that communication that you give to other people about your relationship and transfer it to your partner.
Mm.
Yeah.
I got to hear what you got to say, Tiara. What is your thoughts on that? Because, you know, me and Joe, we always holler about communication. That's our thing, communication. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, as the friend that is a listener, you have to know that men and women come to me. My friends come and they're venting and talking about it. I'm like, well, what you say to him? Well, what you say to her? What she say? Girl, I ain't talking to her. I ain't talking to him, you know. So I know that this is definitely a thing. I think that people feel like they can't go to their partners for some odd reason. It's like I married you, but I can't come to you. For it makes me feel vulnerable. It makes me feel um I'm opening myself up to possible rejection. I'm whatever it is. Like I feel like you won't listen to me. Whatever the thing is, right? I think that that's what I hear most when I'm just listening. So you see some certain couples go to the internet. They'll go to the internet before they go to their partners because there's something there that they feel like they can't go to them because the other person is not listening.
They lost trust.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
lost trust in their partners.
yeah,
After
and
the
that's
love
sad.
is gone.
Go ahead, sing it.
That's what that made me
Sing it,
think of, that
Yolanda.
song. But it's after the love is gone. They lost the trust, that deep-seated trust you used to have with your partner where you can just tell them anything. And now they feel too vulnerable to tell them anything. Now they feel judged. So judged or
Yeah.
shamed. Yeah. So
That's
they
a
don't.
word that
Wow.
I hear. That's a word that I hear. I think, well, not me sitting here like I'm a therapist, but that's what I be hearing. But that's
Yeah.
what I hear. It feels
Yeah.
like judgment.
Judgment. Yeah. So it's easier to go to the internet because when we go to the internet and we write on Facebook, these little subliminal messages, we'll get people, like agreeing with us and making us feel
Validate.
good. Right. And
Mhm.
validating our feelings. So it's easier to go to the internet or social media. Yeah.
It is because that's where you're going to get your validation. A lot of times
Mhm.
people agree, who hurt you? Things of that nature. But, Joe, I mean, gosh, I mean, this whole conversation is so much deeply rooted into other things. So how can we shift the narrative in our communities, especially, so that the emotional health is just as important as the financial stability in a relationship?
Yeah. First thing I'm gonna say is going back to what I said in the beginning of this thing. I do, acknowledge that, a lot of our problems are rooted foundationally in how we started out in this country. And I say that because it's important. We have to, in order to understand and obtain empathy, you have to understand, why we are the way we are, why we are people of survival, and we're gonna put survival above everything. Why are women hyper independent? Why are men emotionally stoic? It is really the way that we've had to be in this country in order to survive. So I know that I'm looking at my woman. I'm understanding, you know, the trauma that's been handed down to her from generation through generation. I can say, oh, I understand that, and I hope that it gives her a space for me to say, why I am the way I am, why I don't always feel emotionally safe saying everything, because what we've learned is that you have to be strong, and also at the same time be submissive. And that's how we are in our marriages. We've learned that happy life, happy wife stuff when, that was completely inaccurate. But
Mm-hmm.
that's just a part of submission. Like I just sit back and I perform. Let me go to work, let me put food on the table, let me put a roof over their head, and that's all that's really required of me. And if I do those things, then I am a man, I am whole. When actuality, you haven't processed me as a human. You know what I mean? And a woman is constantly feeling insecure and unsafe because that's been passed down from generation to generation. The men has been taken out of her home. I can't, from the beginning, oh, I can't even look to this man for protection because he can't do anything for me. He's getting beat right in front of me. I'm just saying, and that passes down through systematic oppression and Jim Crow, and now we are where we are. But now it's a mindset. You know what I mean? No, we're not slaves anymore. No, we're not in the civil rights movement anymore. Maybe I don't know I can't know if I say that for certain, but the mindset has been passed down, and we're not having that conversation. So you're talking about shifting the mindset, Lala. It has to start with understanding where it comes from, so that we can start having a conversation about shifting the mindset. What do you need from me, sis? What do you need from me, brother? You know what I mean? So that we can have a conversation. I just need you to listen, or I just need you to, what I'm saying? I need to know that I'm safe in this area. I can say and move how I want to move without feeling like I'm going to lose. And just having those conversations individually, and also, as a couple and as a community, then we will start to shift the mindset, and it will start passing down a different, mindset to the generations that come after us.
It should be happy house, happy spouse.
100%.
100%.
I agree.
Yeah.
You should be able to pour into each other. I
Yes.
can definitely say that I know my husband pours into me, and any chance that I get, I pour into him, because the world beats you to hell already. If
Yep.
you can come to your spouse and in your home and shut that door, and now you have that spiritual sacred place where you can say, do whatever you want, laugh together, cry together, be honest with one another. I can't imagine being around just because of money reasons. Me personally, I'd rather be able to go home to my sister's house or something and live with her until I get on my feet, because I can't imagine that part of me not being fed and just tiptoeing around someone where we no longer connect. This has been a really great conversation. We really appreciate everyone for putting in their comments and their experiences. But it's time to wind this thing down today because it's Friday. And so I want to get everybody's final thoughts. And please make sure that you tell us where we can find you. I'm going to start with you, Yolanda. What are your final thoughts on this?
Okay, so my final thoughts is this. If your health is being affected, or if you're being physically abused in any way, yes, leave that relationship fast in a hurry. But if you're in a relationship because there's so much pee in the dating pool, okay, and you really want to be with somebody, really try to work things out. Try to figure out what made you come together in the first place, and just try to work it out. Again, if you're being abused or anything else that's really detrimental to your health, mental, physical, spiritual health, then leave, okay, because it's not worth it. But if you can figure out why you came together in the first place and just try to work it out, get a good therapist and work things out and live happily ever after. Anyway, my name is Yolanda Spivey, insurance broker to the stars. You can reach me at www.mwhitney.com. You can also email me at life@mwhitney.com if for all your insurance needs. We insure everything. We specialize in commercial and life insurance, but we can insure anything you need, even your pinky toe. Okay? Thank you.
Me. I need that insured.
We got that.
I bet you do. Listen, really, guys, that is no joke. Insurance is a really important thing. People sometimes see that as some kind of burden, but it's not. But it is a financial protection. You need to reach out to Yolanda so she can help you get that in order. It's not as expensive as you think that it is, especially in the long run when you really need it. So please make sure that you reach out to her. There's all of her contact information there. And now I'm going to go to our lovely Tiara. What is your final thoughts and where can we find you?
So something that I've learned from being on panels with Joe is that we all need love. That's what we live for it, we breathe for it, we That's all we really want. We were put here to love. God is love. He made us in his likeness. We all need love, right? So to live in a loveless house, in a loveless marriage just for money, it just doesn't add up. That math doesn't math for me. I don't believe in it. I don't believe you should stay in things where you don't feel love, because ultimately that will drive you crazy. Not having it, having to feel like, oh, I'm not being seen, heard, validated in my own space. I don't have peace. Like all of that is just interrupting and disrupting your nervous system, your mental health, like just disruption all through you. And I don't feel like you deserve to live that way. So I would just say that, you got to figure it out. Like there's good things on the other side of loveless marriages. There's good things. You'll be okay. Like if you decide to leave and it's over, you've done the work. You've went to Joe. You've done all you can do, but it just isn't working. It's okay to leave. I promise you, you'll figure it out on the flip side. You will bounce back. You always will land on your feet, right? If you are interested in working or getting to know me, I'm at Miss Black Hollywood across all platforms. Next Friday, well, okay, I got a lot going on. So tomorrow with the Fly Nubian Money Club, we are having an Ask the Queens Anything session designed to help you in wealth building or business. So I have a link that is in the chat. Sophia asked me for it, and so I'll put it in the chat. It's there. Go ahead and just come see us. Come spend some time with us. It'll be very fun. We'll be popping. I have queens popping in and out from 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow morning. We're going to get it popping. We're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about wealth building. You can literally ask anything you want. Also, I'll be in Miami for the Economic Elevation Summit with Dr. Boyce Watkins next Friday and Saturday. We are in Miami. I cannot wait. I am teaching the art of story selling. A lot of people don't understand that in order to really sell the products, they need to integrate their own personal stories, and they need to learn how to tell it in a way that is, it'll attract your tribe, your fans, whatever it is that you're looking for. I can help you do that. So I'll be doing that next week, next Friday. There's also a streaming component. So if you can't meet us in Miami, stream that thing. You heard me? I'll see you guys soon.
Because we ain't never gonna leave you hanging. You're gonna be able to get us any kind of way, right? So
me?
I am excited about that. I am, and you're in for a real treat. Please make sure that you do sign up for that, and then join us tomorrow. I'm actually looking forward to it. I will be there as well. So if you got questions for me, I'll be there. How about you, Joe? What is your final thoughts, and where can we find you?
Well, I said what I said, so I mean, I'll just add to it that at the end of the day, you stand in a marriage solely for financial survival, and I mean that's not about money. It's about safety and understanding. We got families, so it's about legacy, and most of the time it's about fear. So with Black families, we got scars that come from, like I said, slavery and systematic oppression that kind of craft our choices about how we're moving inside of these relationships. And oftentimes, emotional fulfillment is like not on the priority list. But I want to tell y'all, like, we deserve more than just surviving. We deserve to heal. We deserve connection. We deserve relationships that make us feel nourished. So, it's just time. Let's just, give ourselves permission to want the safety and security and also the love. We can do that, but we got to build communities that support us in having both of those things. And it starts with learning and understanding where we came from so we can figure out where we're going, and just having those conversations that lead to that. And you can always talk to me or holler at me. I got my podcast tag up there, but Real You Consulting, reach out, email me, ask me any questions you need to ask me. I'm responsive, and if I have opportunity for you to come sit with me, I'm come on through and then sit. But we got to start having those conversations, and we got to start doing it within ourselves. Like, it has to be an individual movement, and your actions will influence those around you. So start with yourself before you start trying to change everybody else. Oh, and who missed me, man? Let's get that in the chat. Who missed me? Let's get
We did.
Okay.
They don't matter. We
I
missed you,
miss
Joe.
you
I
so
know y'all
much,
did. I know
Joe.
y'all did, but you know what I'm saying? Who missed the boy?
Joe, you
We missed
always
you.
bring the best perspectives. We love having your perspectives because,
Uh,
it's always, all the female panels, sometimes you just need to hear the male perspective or someone who definitely understands helping people from sitting in your chair and trying to work out life. So listen, with that, you got to go to realuconsulting.com. It does start with you. Make sure you to reach out to Joe. Make sure you follow him on his Instagram. Make sure that you also watch his podcast. All right. Because we do a lot of other things to help you outside of this area here. We have a lot of other things that can help you. Here's my final thoughts for me. For me, I could not live in a marriage that only was based on money. I am a Pisces to my heart. And that means that I have to be balanced. I have to be body, mind, and spirit. And if I don't have that, then finances don't matter at all because then I am robbed and poor in the other parts of my life. So if you are unsatisfied, if you feel trapped, then do go get the resources that you need. Contact Joe. Contact those that can help you see the light at the end of the tunnel because we got one life, babies. One. And if you don't ride that screaming and enjoying life so that you don't turn around and say, I wish I coulda, woulda, shoulda, then you're not living in your purpose. Now, listen, if you are in financial trouble and you don't really know how to get out of it, I have a great budget planner that goes really deep on my website, and that's at www.laurakey.net. It's free. Go download that. And then also, if you're looking to move out of America, I also have a Move Abroad quiz for you there. Listen, thank you to everyone who has been here today, who has commented, who has contributed to the conversation. We do not take it lightly that you are here with us because you could have been with somebody else. Now, remember, it's Blackout Friday. We're sticking to it on this platform, and we hope that you are joining us to do that as well. Listen, everybody deserves to be in a relationship filled with love, respect, and deep emotional connection, not one maintained only for financial stability. While staying together for money may seem practical, the emotional cost can be far greater. A loveless marriage just doesn't stay behind closed doors. It spills into your health, your self-worth, your friendships, your work, and even your children, and how you show up for your own dreams. Choosing to stay in a silent, disconnected relationship can drain your spirit and dim your light. But choosing love, real love, nourishes every part of your life. You deserve joy, intimacy, laughter, and someone who sees and values you for the real you. So don't let fear of finances convince you to accept anything less. Your heart, your peace, and your future are worth so much more. Thank you for joining us today. We are here Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure that you get that text in there, right? To get notified every single day, right? We're going to pull that up on the screen before we leave so that you can do that. Text the word Queens to 87948.
87948, baby.
I haven't said that in a while. I got to get it back into my routine. Do that right now. Text Queens to 87948. Be blessed. Have a beautiful weekend. Take care of your body, mind, and spirit. And go get some sunshine and touch some grass. Peace out, y'all. See you next week. Bye.
Have a good
Bye,
weekend.
y'all.